We will go to, are you also clicking? And I'm also clicking. To the Ramsar area, which is at the mouth of the Kinabatangan and Sagama area. And calling on stage, Neville Yap.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying with us throughout the morning session. This is the final presentation from Flybe Sabah. So, my name is Neville. I am the program coordinator for the Lower Kinabatangan Sagama Wetlands program. And this is in partnership with the Sabah Forestry Department, the indigenous and local communities from the area who are also here today. There are 11 of them. Maybe you can stand up as you can diri. And this program is also supported by various local and international organizations. So I'm here today to just talk about what we have been doing in the last 3 years in the area, and share some of our achievements and lessons learned, insights, some failures, and also some steps moving forward into the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Lower Kinabatangan Sagama Wetlands is one of the most significant coastal ecosystem in the country due to its size and the fact that a lot of people depend on it, especially the indigenous and local communities who live there, and thousands of commercial fishing from the nearby city. The Kinabatangan and the Sagama Delta is a main source for aquatic nutrient cycle that is important for crabs, prawns, and fishes in the area. Even though it was heavily exploited back in the day, especially the upper part, this is the core zone we're working on. But activities throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s have degraded the area. But now it is, but even though it was heavily exploited, the area still contains one of the most diverse forest habitats that is home to iconic wildlife in Sabah, and also the people there who enjoy the ecosystem benefits. There are many issues in the area, and one of the most critical ones these days is unsustainable development of palm oil, which then led to pollution and loss of livelihoods for many people. In addition, there's unregulated, unmonitored, and illegal fishing in the area. So we have also learned that in the last 3 years, by engaging with the people, by talking with them, by referring to publications, we found that there's a significant drop in fish catch in the last 30 years. Dispute over fishing rights have been increasing due to the demand of fishes and the fact that it has increased by at least 50% in the last 7 years. For example, crabs were only 6 ringgit a kilo 7 years ago. Now it's at least 15. This is the price in the campo, not accounting the prices when it's sent to Sandakan and exported elsewhere throughout the region. And then this has led to increasing fishing pressure on the last few remaining productive areas in the Ramsar site, especially in the Dewhurst Bay and the Kuala Sagama and Marwar estuary. The site achieved status as a wetland of international importance in 2008, and a management plan was formulated. So, according to the management plan, a significant portion of the area is subjected to community use for small-scale fishing, hunting, and forest extraction. Therefore, the involvement of the local communities is a long-term aim of the management plan. So, actually, this became the basis for Reva Sabah's intervention in the area when we first started working in Kampung Abai back in 2010, together with our dear friend from Kopel. So in 2015, we started a series of engagements with the local community, together with the forestry department, and it has culminated into what is known today as Ramsar Community Group. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ramsar Community Group, or RCGA, is a platform to bring together all stakeholders from the area to open up the space so that new ideas can come up, new participation from the communities can be increased, and we can advance governance and management of the entire site in the long run. And it is based on what the management plan actually recommends. Yeah, so there was a lot of activities, a lot of workshops, talking with the communities. We identified what we need to do if we were going to develop a long-term program out of this, and then try to get funding to get it started. And one of the first things we did was to conduct a community-based participatory mapping project. There's a lot of talk about community-based mapping since the session started in the morning, and community-based mapping in the site is also one of the biggest components of the project. This was done to actually map the entire area and understand it from the perspective of the people who live there, the people who have a massive wealth of the lay of the land, including the biocultural diversity around the area. Apart from that, we also try to see the extent of how the people fish, what kind of fish they are catching, what kind of gears they are using, what kind of species that is depleted, what kind of species that's resilient to change. That's on an aquatic landscape. On the terrestrial part, the communities themselves mapped areas where they used to find non-timber forest products, and also areas where they bury the dead. So we found there's a lot of graveyards around the area, and it's scattered around the villages, and it indicated to us that, oh, okay, this kampung is really old because people have moved in from here and there and then to the other side of the river and so on. The community-based mapping has enabled the communities to use this information to guide management planning at the village level, and also to use this data to see how their resources can be managed sustainably. For an example of like this is the proposed map of community-based fisheries zone in Kampung Seriganda, just next to Kelaba Wildlife Reserve. And these are just some examples of the maps that was developed in each of the village. This has given the communities a new perspective on how does the landscape look like. Well, sometimes translating information like this on a piece of paper can sometimes be difficult for communities to understand. And in other communities, they didn't have to develop a 3D model. Then people would say, oh yeah, okay, now I get it. This is how my village looks like. So we've also documented traditional boundaries between communities, so that information such as this can be useful to the fisheries department, so that inshore management of fisheries in this area can be further developed in the future. Another component of the project is to get the communities organized, to expose them to community organizing skills, expose them to using media and tell their story by themselves, and also to ensure that communities are in their own village are involved at all levels of planning. Some of the communities are not interested sometimes, but it's okay because we're trying to focusing on the people who are really interested first. We've also made significant efforts to communicate the management plan to the communities, to tell them what the document really entails, and so that the communities can be aware of their rights as the people living there, and also make use of that document to support whatever they're planning on developing in their kampung in the future. We've also touched based on all relevant laws relating to the area, and the communities can also realize, oh, okay, according to the Summer Forestry Enactment Section 41, we have a right to be here. A long-term program such as this you can only see results for like at least 10 years down the road. And then we kind of like overlooked other important elements for an intervention program such as this. Communities will be tired to go to bookshops and things all the time and not see immediate benefits or results, or maybe immediate opportunities they can start developing in their company. So with that, in the second year, we changed our plan. We say, let's try new ideas. Let's find some small grants so that communities can start learning how to do it and get support from their community members, including government agencies, to start finding a way to develop a self-sustaining mechanism in their own company. So in the kampung of Kutas Laut, for instance, they managed to get a grant from Shell Malaysia to start a sustainable fisheries project, to try new ways of how fishing communities can actually generate more income by working together. This grant has enabled them to really learn how to get organized and build some sense of accountability, because sometimes government aid is always treated with not much responsibility, because, oh, okay, it's okay, government can just keep on giving us whatever we need and just relax and sit back. But community projects such as this that has demanded accountability from the community has get the community organized around it. Another example, another community that has tried something new is Kampung Mumiang, where the kampung who is heavily impacted by pollution and mass fish death. They've taken the initiative to initiating a community-based water quality monitoring project. This was supported by the Sabah Forestry Department and the Ministry of Land, Water and Natural Resources. By acquiring the latest technology in situ water quality monitoring, the communities are able to understand what is going on with their water and how to and identify where did this problem came from. Another village that has developed something while waiting for the other program to have results is the Kampung of Triganda, who have realized that their main asset was none other than a very special type of snapper. It's the only kind of snapper that migrate to fresh water, and they don't go into deep ocean, increase in size. It is one of the least known snapper family in the world, but demand for recreational fishing is growing really fast, especially in this region. The communities have been trying to get formal recognition from the Fisheries Department. However, there was a policy gap, and also we failed to effectively be on the ground when formal visits were conducted by the Fisheries Department to come to the village. But however, the communities are not giving up. They have started to bring people back together to review this plan, and we are committed to hopefully get this kampung to become one of the first community-based fisheries management zone in the district of Kinabalu. This concept has been widely practiced throughout Sabah, but non-existent yet. Another village that we're working with to develop alternative livelihoods is Kampung Dagat. They are one of the most unique communities in the Ramsar site, because they are the only Tidur communities in the area, while others are mostly of Suluk groups, Suluk, Sungai, Brunei, Bajau, Idaan, and yeah, I think that's it. So they managed to get a grant to develop a community-based swiftlet project in their kampung, so that money generated from this, they can use it, they can dedicate some of the income for this to manage about 600 acres of forest outside, that's sitting outside of Abin Wildlife Reserve. So this is Kampung Dagat. Ladies and gentlemen, over the last 3 years, very valuable information about the site has been gathered and documented, and we hope to be able to input to the revised management plan of the area, and also to improve the zoning plan of the Ramsar site. Apart from that, the engagement have been able to start a process where communities can start to increase their capacity so that they can participate effectively in the management of the site. Alternative livelihood strategies have been identified, some have been prototyped, and some they have been prototyped for future upscaling. But there's only 4 other communities have so many ideas that they want to work on, and we are very excited with that, and we are trying to develop all these plans in the long term. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neville. Big hand to this young man. Another big hand.